You are now listening to the smooth sounds of Iloveatiya. Ciao, beautiful souls. My name's Atiya, and I am your future bestie in your head. I am a sex-positive animal activist. I grew up in Queens, New York, and was homeschooled/unschooled for about 12 years. I was a virgin until I was 24 and attempted to have a hoe phase for 2 years, which eventually led me to being accidentally/intentionally celibate. And here we are today. My past left me with a lot of wild stories, a lot of lessons, and a hell of a lot of trauma. Thank God for my wicked sense of humor, because God only knows I would have perished by now. With that being said, this is your gentle reminder that the Iloveatiya experience was created as a safe space for me to reflect and share the lessons that I've learned from past traumas. Shit gets real on this podcast, and topics such as domestic violence, sexual assault, substance abuse, depression, anxiety, and suicide may be referenced. If you are working through feeling triggered by certain topics, this may not be the show for you right now, and that's okay. Healing takes time and isn't linear. I'll be here when you're ready. Now, without further ado, the Iloveatiya experience is an experience. So get ready for laughs, crazy story times, and life-changing pleasure tips here on the Iloveatiya Experience podcast.
Hello, you beautiful souls. Because y'all gonna get this deeper voice today. You know, I just woke up maybe about an hour ago and I said, let me record my podcast. It's a nice rainy day out, a little dark, sensual, selective. I wanted to say seductive. I don't know why I said selective. But yes, y'all, my little upper registry has not registered yet. This is my first time speaking within the last 12 hours, y'all. When I tell you that I am exhausted, but that's not to put this energy out there. That's to say that I am really excited to make this podcast. And I've been wanting to record this podcast for so long, but have been preparing to move out the country, as I'm sure most of you know. So with that being said, my mind is all over the place. So today we have an official outline. Clap it up, clap it up, clap it up. And when I say clap it up, I mean that ass. Yep, I literally was just clapping my ass just now. Oh my God. Oh my gosh. Okay. All right. Now I'm really going to try not to have these ADHD spurts where I just start talking about random shit. So let's see how this goes. Okay. Because I literally was about to tell you something random, but it's not in the outline. So if we have time at the end, I'll save it for the end. But until then, let's dive into my first segment, which is my experience, this week's catch up. Okay, so when I had it written down, it actually sounded really grand, my experience. You get it because the Iloveatiya experience, because it was my. Maybe I should have said my Iloveatiya experience. Okay, well, whatever. This is this week's catch up. If you're white, don't fucking talk to me. No, don't talk to me for the next 4 weeks. And if that changes, I'll let you know. But I just recently got back from a trip to Mississippi, and my dad and I actually took it together, and it was by far one of my favorite, I want to say one of my favorite trips with him, but we've gone on so many. And y'all might be like, when the fuck? The last time we talked, you didn't even know what the fuck was going on with you and your dad. But update, all is well and beautiful in the world of me and daddy. But transparently, super transparently, I was nervous about going on this trip. My dad and I hadn't gone on a trip together, officially just him and I, since he had been married. And I had expressed that to him maybe 2 years into his marriage. Granted, there was the whole pandemic and stuff like that. But, before he had a wife, that was our thing. We traveled to California 3 times, Arizona. We've gone so many places together, Alabama a couple of times. So Mississippi had always been on our list, as well as Alaska. And yeah, I just genuinely missed our trips. But back in the day, I just don't think that we both just needed a lot of healing, and we both just needed a lot of allowing ourselves to be human so that we could allow each other to be human. So all in all, I'm super grateful. But yeah, I can't lie, I was very nervous because like I said, there had been times where I thought that we were on great terms, and then we'll talk and apparently we're not on great terms, and I'm sure vice versa. I know that that's happened to him before as well. So I'm just really, really proud of us and how far we've come, and I just wanted to share that. I'd actually love to talk more about my relationship with him on the podcast, and just fathers and daughters in general, because we had a lot of conversations. I even told him about my sexual assault, which is deep. I had told him about the first one that happened in July. I didn't tell him about the one in August. And so that was a very interesting conversation to have, especially considering he wasn't prepared for that. I literally just kind of sprung it on him. I don't really know the best way or the best time to share that your daughter has been assaulted by the hands of a man. So yeah, I definitely am excited to talk about that because it'd be interesting to hear his perspective as a father. Like, what is your experience with that? Like, when you find out that your daughter has been violated or abused or just physically, like I said, just physically violated, what is a father's feeling about that? I know the response, but what does he feel deep inside? Is he angry? Is he sad? Is it a combination? Is there a frustration? So yeah, I'm excited to have that really deep discussion, and I'm gonna start having guests soon on here as soon as I move. So I'm really excited about that. But the main goal was to go down there and visit some historical sites in which the story of Emmett Till unfolded. And I'll just speak for myself. But I just felt like I let my ancestors down so bad. The day I told y'all about the story where I found out that that girl that I had sexual relations with was white, and I thought that she was Hispanic. Like, I feel like I literally let them down. Like, granted, okay, I think I explained this in my other podcast episode, but although she was a really sweet girl, I think that because I had been trying so hard to explore my lesbianism and it wasn't being received well, or I wasn't being welcomed, or I didn't feel welcomed, I feel like I just kind of took what was given to me, if that makes sense. And I don't want to sound fucked up because the experience was definitely a learning experience, and it was definitely just a more positive than negative experience. But I think I told y'all, did I ever tell y'all in that story about how, like, after I ate her out, we were sitting in the back of my car watching like 15 to like 30 minutes of her videos on Twitch? Literally, she just was showing me all these videos and like dying laughing at herself. So yeah, although like sexually I did get to explore and I was very grateful for that, was I super into her the way that I wanted to be? Was I connected to her emotionally? No. So I really realized that just because somebody is a lesbian doesn't mean that I have to give them a shot. But with that being said, the fact that she was white, I feel like I let my ancestors down. That's what I'm trying to say. I feel like I let my ancestors down based on the fact that Emmett Till walked into this store, whistled or allegedly whistled at a woman, and then she had him brutalized and murdered and had his eyes gouged out. And I think he was castrated and all of these horrible, horrible, horrible things, like head bashed in, drowned. Like there are things that they showed the weapons that were used by the two white guys and then the assisting black guys that literally helped with the abduction. And I also didn't know that Emmett Till like had grown up in Chicago and was traveling down to Mississippi for a trip to visit his family. Like, I did not know that. I thought that he was from Mississippi and all this happened. His mother, Mamie, is like my freaking shiro. The fact that she had his casket open so that people could see the brutalizations that were going on for black people. Like, I was just so enraged by the end of my trip. Like, so joyful that I got to experience this with my dad because this is something that he's been wanting to experience for a while. But I was just so pissed at white people. I can't lie. Like, because this is not the first situation that has happened like this, but this was the first one that was really publicized thanks to his mother. So yeah, the whole, I don't know. I just feel like I gotta, I don't know, like with all of this knowledge that I have, I just think to myself, do people, when people have, and I know love is love, okay, but when people have partners that are white specifically, what do you feel? Like when do you know that this stuff has happened? This is a genuine question. I just want to know what your experience is, because to know that like my ancestors were getting raped by like the white man and like the slave master, and this is not me being like crazy or racist. This is literally me speaking about my ancestors' history. So even when I watched The Woman King and watched the I don't even just watch The Woman King, but I watched that feeling like I could never like betray my ancestors in the way of that. So yeah, I don't know. I just feel like the brutal violations that happened back in the day makes me just turned off from white people as a whole. So I need a detox. And I know a lot of white people. I know a lot of white people listen to this, but if you can't acknowledge the trauma that you forced my people to experience, then you're not my kind of white person. So yeah, I just wanted to like talk about it because I feel like that can help bring healing. And that's my personal dating preference. So, don't start fucking projecting your shit. But this catch up is all about Mississippi and my trip. So yeah, I definitely feel awakened and feel reminded of the trauma and the tragedy that we've gone through. Even learning about like Medgar Evers and his passing at such an early age. Like, I didn't know that he was the one that had driven Emmett Till's mom to the courthouse. I didn't know about all of the blatant racism that they received in the courthouse. And I didn't know that he was murdered so early in his life. Another thing that was so crazy was that in the trial for the killers of Emmett Till, obviously they got off, and obviously being that it was a fucking racist time, and it still is. This right after we got back from Mississippi, a black man was decapitated, or was found decapitated after complaining, or not complaining, but alerting people regarding some harassment at his job from white people. So it's still happening, which is why I don't really want to refer to the racism in past tense. But the two men that murdered Emmett Till were put on trial, but they had an all-white jury. And the conclusion of the all-white jury was, yeah, we know that they're guilty. We know that they did it, but we don't feel like you should go to jail for torturing and maiming a 14-year-old boy. So we're just going to let them go free instead. That's literally what they said. And what's crazy is that the two killers of Emmett Till actually ended up getting paid to confess. They got paid, I think, $4,000 to confess that they did it in a magazine. So literally rewarding murderers and publicizing that they've confessed to murder and got away with it. Literally how to get away with murder. I think I want to do a segment where I do Black History Facts, but Black History Facts that we don't know that we should. Because I feel like we know the basics, we know the people kind of, sort of, but can we match faces to names, and can we match stories? There are some really, really, really revolutionary people out there like Mamie, Emmett Till's mom, who really turned around this whole civil rights movement. So I would like to do my part as a young person, because I also learned on this trip that young people were really the leaders of the civil rights movement. And even Martin Luther King would have young people doing marches and stuff like that. And I think one of the main reasons was because when adults would do marches, they could literally lose their jobs. And then, being jobless back in the day, being jobless now, it's hard, especially when you're trying to fight the good fight, and then they could just kind of blacklist you as a whole. So yeah, I just thought that was interesting. And I feel like it's time for our generation to get our shit together. What the fuck are we doing? I'm proud of us. At the same time, I want to give us major credit, because looking at how things were back in the day versus how things are now, I see how changes have been made due to the brutalization of us, though. So I would like to kind of get ahead of the curve, if that makes sense, because we're still actively out here getting murdered. To me, it's not really, it's just transformed and evolved into a different kind of massacre. So yes, I would love to talk more about this, but long story short, I'm mad at white people, and I don't see how everybody else isn't. But it's okay, we're spreading love, not hate, but I just have to acknowledge my anger. My anger. Also, how did y'all start coining the term colonizer? I was going to say colonialism, but that's a weird word to say. But colonizer, how did y'all just take that and how black people did with the N-word? Y'all just took colonizer and ran with it. Yeah, we colonizers. Don't do that. Granted, fuck that. Let's talk about how you are colonizers. Let's talk about how literally y'all just be colonizing. I know the Native American people are fucking done. Yo, there's this shit happening in Georgia. It's about, I don't know if y'all have heard of Cop City, and they've literally been trying to tear down an indigenous sacred forest and build this, training center for cops. If you look up the account on Instagram, Defend the Forest, they have some great insight on what's going on and some great updates. There are petitions that you can sign. But the indigenous people had fucking enough and literally stormed somewhere in Georgia and vocalized the brutalities and the inhumane treatment that is actively going on to people who are trying to protect the forest from the police department in Atlanta or in Georgia. And the mayor has backed this up. He's all for the police and setting up Cop City. But they would literally have to tear down an entire forest, a sacred... first of all, tearing down a forest in general is horrible for the environment and just for the earth. And that was really hard, too, driving from Mississippi and seeing all of the trees being cut down. Have y'all peeped that? There is so much deforestation happening. And I've been fighting for deforestation since I was 6 years old, literally making petitions against it. My mom tells a funny story about how I literally knew how to spell the word deforestation, but didn't know how to spell the word do. I was like, how do you spell... I was like, I'm trying to say due to deforestation on this petition. How do you spell do? And she was like, D-U-E. And then I was like, okay, and that's it. But she was like, you don't need help spelling deforestation? I was like, no, thank you. I got it. I say all that to say, for Cop City, despite the deforestation that will take place, It's literally a sacred forest that, if I'm not mistaken, I do not want to put misinformation out there, but I think that it's owned by the indigenous. Like, I think it's literally indigenous land. So yeah, they went into this headquarters in Georgia, and they read out every single crime that was committed in that forest against protesters and against indigenous and black people. And yeah, they literally, I want to like find the clip to show y'all because it was very powerful. And a lot of people don't know that this is happening in Georgia, but it's crazy. And it's been happening, I want to say, for about a year. I feel like this makes a year, but people have literally slept in that forest and have occupied that forest so that like demolitions teams do not come and take it down. Like, it's a thing that is actually actively happening. So definitely check out Defend the Forest on Instagram if you want to learn more. And I'll share a QR code on my story, which can help with signing a petition and getting some extra movements made. But they've really done a lot when it comes to defending that forest, I will say. And back to civil rights, one thing I realized is that they definitely fought for like months and years. A lot of people nowadays, I think young activists do like one day boycotts. For instance, that whole Gucci thing, everybody was like, we're not buying Gucci on a Friday. First of all, why are you still buying Gucci? Like, that is it. I can't get with, I've never been with the whole designer thing. And you're probably like, bitch, because you can't afford it. But even if I could not see myself giving my thousands of dollars that I worked so hard for to a white man. I can't. So yeah, that's my testimonial right now. I'm mad at white people, and I'm not ashamed to say it. And at first I was gonna say, oh, like, what if this messes with my brand deals? What if this messes with my my blackness is already messing with my brand deals. Like, my blackness is literally getting me the lowest ball of payments, the lowest. I'm getting gifted promotions again. It's disrespectful, but I'm disrespecting myself because I'm taking them. So yeah, we're reevaluating my whole life when I get to Mexico. I just need 4 days. I just need to get there. All right, speaking of Mexico, for another catch up, we have some updates in regards to the moves. A lot of things have happened. One being that we got approved for our apartment. I don't know if I told you this, and I guess I didn't make this clear in my first episode about my move, but my mom and I are actually moving together. So that has definitely made this trip feel extra, extra, extra healing. But yes, we got approved for our apartments, and I am so excited. I told y'all, I think in the last episode, that there was a moment in time when we weren't even going to move at all. And if we did, we were just going to move to like Arizona. That's a totally different story for a different day, and I want to talk about it with my mom. But yeah, we were super discouraged. We ended up finding this apartment on our last day on the trip, y'all. Literally, our last day was the day that we found our dream apartment. So I'm really excited about that. Another update is that my sisters came by and picked up a whole bunch of furniture, which made my heart so happy. One of them had just moved into a new house, so she got to furnish her house, which was amazing. I'm here for sustainability and sharing furniture and clothing and all of these things, because otherwise they end up in a dump and they end up like killing our earth. So I'd rather just keep on recycling it and refurbishing it, and it just made my heart so happy. And then my other sister came and she picked out some really nice pieces as well and was able to take them home that day. So then that basically gave us kind of a somewhat empty house. Not fully though, because we still had the movers coming, and the movers came yesterday. Hence why I was so exhausted and I'm just now recording my podcast. Y'all, I was doing so good recording these like weeks in advance, but it's cool. We're back to how I was doing it back in the day. Oh, speaking of back in the day, I think I'm also going to start doing video again, which I'm excited about. But the movers came yesterday, and we literally spent the entire day before that packing up boxes, packing up bins. I am excited for the part of this journey where we don't have to continuously coordinate with people, because I feel like I've been trying to coordinate with like 10 different people about 10 different things. And I know my mom feels the same. She's been handling like the cleaners and the trash pickup and the movers and all that stuff. And I've been handling like the physical people who are coming to pick up the stuff and the hangouts and all of that stuff. So just trying to figure out logistical things. I've been reaching out to the realtor. We both been reaching out to the realtor. So yeah, and that's another thing I will say that I'm so grateful about with my mom, is that she definitely is taking on, in my mind, 50% of the responsibility regarding this trip. And, I feel like I'm doing the same, and I'm grateful for that conversation. Really, I think conversation that we've had in our head, because I can't really remember if we've had a conversation in regards to like who's going to do what work on this, for this move. I think we both, she's a Capricorn, I'm a Virgo. So we both just took the lead in certain areas, and I'm really proud of us for that. But there are just so many logistical things to handle. So that is a lot. I know a lot of people are sometimes like, oh my gosh, you're so brave. I'm happy that you get the chance to do this. And when people say get the chance to do this, I was wondering what they were talking about. Like, anybody can literally get up and leave the country and live in somewhere where the rent is going to be like 2 times cheaper. But I think that what they're saying is the logistical things that me and my mom just do, like that we just do, I think that those are things that other people would have struggles with. And it's not to say that me and my mom don't struggle through it, but I think it's that we just see the bigger goal, which is getting the fuck out and handling a lot of this stuff later. So even purging, like, yeah, we purged a lot. Like, we purged a lot. I had so much to give to the homeless shelter, to Goodwill, but there's still more to purge, but we don't have the brain space for that. So we're like, okay, well, we'll purge when we get back because we just can't. Whereas maybe some people would feel like they have to get all of those things done before they can go to Mexico. And I honestly have to give, or just leave the country in general, I have to give my mom a lot of credit because I actually was in that mind frame of allowing certain things to hold me back from my progression on the move. And she was really helpful in teaching me to let things go, if that makes sense, regarding just certain personal things that I was kind of complicating. She simplified them for me or just helped me put them on the back burner, and it's helping me see what's important. And I also realized that I am actively working on now living in a place of abundance. I was doing that really well before, but I think that when things start to rapidly change, I get into this place of like, I want to cling on to everything that's familiar to me and everything, and like just in cases and backups and things of that sort, instead of thinking I'm going to be so abundant that I can replenish these things if need be, in newer versions or whatever the case may be. And again, that might not make sense to you. If you moved out the country, it might make sense. If you just moved in general and purged, it might make sense. But yeah, just a random thought about my move. Another piece of good news that is flowing in, we just got so much good news regarding this Mexico trip, is that I have an official employee working with Ethereum. I'm so excited. I'm going to do an official email blast about this. So if you want to know the tea about how Ethereal is still going to be running and operating while I'm out of the country, then be sure to head to iloveatiya.com. And then you have 2 things you can sign up for. You can sign up for my Ethereal email blast, which I highly recommend, and that can be found on my Ethereal portion of my page. But that's where I send out monthly love notes. I send out 4 love notes a month, and then some Ethereal updates and sales. We have some major self-care sales. If y'all like clay, like Razul clay, healing clays, then definitely tap into my email list because I have a super big special that I'm about to announce for y'all. But this will really give me time for a relaunch, although we're still going to be in business, which I'm excited about, because honestly, y'all, I thought that I was going to have to do a 3-month break, and I was here for it. I really was, to be honest with you. I was going to isolate and just fucking like take my time and reorganize Ethereal, but I think that having somebody handle my shipments will be so helpful for me, because then I can focus on marketing and things of that sort. Because when I tell y'all, if you go and look at my Ethereal page, you'll see I haven't posted for the last like 3 weeks. Obviously, I'm moving, so I give myself grace, but there are just so many promotions and specials and sales and new products that I want to come up with, and new marketing materials that I want to post and share with y'all, and new tips, self-care tips that I want to share with y'all, but I just don't have the time or the brain space because I'm literally running my business by myself. And a lot of people don't know that. I literally was my only employee for Ethereal, and I was bottling all of my own ingredients, still am, labeling all of my ingredients, labeling my bottles, mixing all my ingredients, creating the label, etc., etc. So yeah, definitely, and also just making the concoctions. Like, that takes months of research and months of testing on willing human testers to make sure that my products are working the way that I need them to work. There are so many big brands out there that just be producing shit and y'all just be buying it because it has that brand's name. I want to get to the point where y'all buy my products because you know that they work. I can literally think of somebody's skincare right now. You can too. You know who I'm talking about. Whose skincare, they've had a lot of controversy regarding it, but I've never heard any kind of rave reviews as to what type of help it's done to people's skin. But they just buy it because of who it's by. So sure, buy my products because you love me, but also buy my products because you know that they're going to help you love yourself. That's my goal. Like, my goal is actually to help people. You know what I'm saying? It's supposed to just selling something. So I'm super excited to get back to kind of the ground roots of Ethereal. So again, you can sign up for that email list. You can figure out or find out who is going to be running my shipments. I'm super excited. And then also you can sign up for my free Pleasure Positive email blast, which is
going to be at iloveatiya.com/sign up. But I'll put the links for both things down in my description below. Now, in my last episode, I remember asking or saying to put a pin in something, and I never came back to it. I'm trying to get better with getting back to things. But by the way, if you hear me literally wheezing, it's because my allergies are actively trying to murder me before I make it across the border. Like, I need you to understand, this is an attack. It's a personal attack. Even though I know everybody else is actively going through it, and to the people who don't have allergies, you are literally God's favorite. I just wanted you to know that you are God's favorite. When I interview my mom, I have to ask her because she knows this fact about why allergies have gotten so bad in America. And it's something regarding male trees. I remember that part because men fuck everything up. So yeah, there was that. But in my last episode, I had mentioned that I wasn't going to have a going away party, and there was a reason why. And it's so funny because in my mind, in the beginning of this like whole move, I was like, oh yeah, like it'd be nice if somebody threw me like a surprise going away party. But you really can't actually do that for me. You would actually have to confer with me, at least for the guest list, or somehow smoothly ask me who I'm still fucking with. Because I literally actively stopped fucking with people like you, and I don't always update people about it. So somebody would show me their ass or their true colors, or their representative would just go away and disappear. And I will no longer, and to protect myself, I will set a boundary and will no longer be fucking with that person. But my friend might still fuck with that person, and that's okay. Still fuck with them, but just know I don't want them in my space. Maybe they'll show you who they really are. Maybe they'll be able to keep the representative up longer for you. But for me, they weren't able to, and so I can no longer allow them in my space. So yeah, like I can imagine going to a surprise party that somebody threw for me and just having everybody there that I don't fuck with. But like, oddly enough, the people that don't fuck with me still want to be around me. It is a very weird. Have y'all ever experienced that before? Like, there was a friend of mine, and I knew, I use that word loosely. I knew that she didn't fuck with me anymore because too many good things were happening in my life, but she still actively wanted to be around and still actively wanted to be my friend. And even when the friendship ended and she sent me like an hour's worth of voice notes about why she didn't fuck with me, she still wanted to be my friend after that. And I was like, but you literally just said you literally hate me. You literally hate me and who I am, but you want to be my friend still? I'm so confused. You literally just said you don't like how I do friendships, but you want to still be my friend. Bitch, apparently ain't shit changing. This is real. This is me. I should get that tattooed on me because I feel like I say that in every episode. But I say all that to say no surprise parties were created for me, and I'm grateful for that. But my mom had asked me if I would consider having like a get together with all my friends. And I told her no. And at first I felt really bad about it. But if y'all would have seen, like, first of all of my individual hangouts that I did, right? Because I told you I scheduled individual hangouts with people for as much as I could, as much as my human capacity could allow me to, because my social battery at this point is corroded. It's giving acid. But I was spending at least like 7 hours on each hangout, and that's and it's crazy because a lot of my hangouts actually kind of started at 5, now that I think about it, and ended at like 3 or 4 in the morning. Like almost all of them, we would look up at the clock and be like, oh my God, it's 4 a.m. So yeah, I say that to say, you know, a lot of it was people catching up with me. A lot of it was people venting to me venting to people. Although I didn't really have that much to share. I basically shared the same Mexico story like 7 times. So that was very interesting. I wish I kind of recorded it on like a voice memo and then just like pressed play. But there were some friendships that I hadn't seen them for like, actually, a majority of my friends I had not seen for at least 6 months. So there was 6 months worth of stuff to catch up on. But even for the friends that I had seen actively, there wasn't like that much tea for me to spill. So it was really just a lot of me listening, and I loved it. Sometimes I don't feel like talking. I don't know if anybody can relate to that. I just don't feel like moving my mouth. So I love like the hangouts where people would just be venting to me. My friends are so fucking gracious because I want to say in almost every conversation that I've had, they've all been like, am I dumping? Or like, is this too much? Or whatever. And I'm like, oh my God, no. The fact that you even asked that and were considerate of that is enough for me. But no, I didn't feel dumped on or anything like that. So I was really just grateful to be able to be there to support them. But had I had like just one main get together and had everybody with me at one time, I would have been overwhelmed as fuck. I remember I had a birthday party and it was 3 of my friends, and I just felt like 2 of my friends were including one of my friends, and it wasn't by their, like they weren't doing it on purpose, but I literally just think, 1, they were both going through it in their life, and 2, I don't know, well, one of them was just really stingy with me. The other one, like I said, was really actively going through it, so I understood why they
may not have been in the same space that they are now. Actually, I'll give grace to both of them. But that's my point, is that, me and my friends, we're always going through it. And in the most beautiful, graceful, growth, transformational way possible. And that's why I love it, because I hate having stagnant friendships where people are not growing through their stuff. I'm appreciative to be able to be there for their breakdowns so that I can be there for their breakthroughs and vice versa. I felt like in my old friendships, all I was doing was having breakdowns. And all I was doing was relying on people to give me a breakthrough in my friendships. And eventually my friends stopped listening to me. They really stopped fucking with me because I had the same problems over and over again. But it seems like now that we're adults and I have these really healthy friendships, it's a very much so quid pro quo thing. So it doesn't feel like, oh my God, this bitch always has issues. It's like, no, she's literally adulting and I'm going to be there for her right now. And she's there for me when I'm adulting. So like I said, my relationships are very quid pro quo right now and I really appreciate them. But having a party with, say, even just 4 close friends, that would be, to me, a lot of energy to be able to handle. And it's mostly because, like I said about my birthday, I just want everybody to feel included. And it's not always easy for everyone to make everybody feel included, especially because these are all such individual friendships. The friendships where I met people in groups, sometimes it was a little bit easier to not have the whole territorial thing, but still, I still experienced that where people just wanted to have me time. And I've witnessed it even with my mom. Like, there could be we could be in a room full of people, or like a group of people, and like people will pull her aside to have individual interactions with her while she's trying to entertain like a massive amount of people when she has her shows and things like that. So yeah, same here. I get overwhelmed by things like that, and then I end up feeling guilt at the end of the night. Fucking guilt. Goddamn, I'm so grateful that my relationship is growing with guilt, but I would feel guilt because I'm like, I didn't give so-and-so attention. I didn't listen to so-and-so. And it's usually the people that I want to talk to the most, that are the most introverted and didn't even want to bother me during that night. So yeah, so they didn't get my time. But anyways, my point is that I just would have been overwhelmed. But I think that when I come back to Atlanta and to New York, because I'm going to have such limited time in these places and I'm going to be here mostly for work, I think that the hangouts will definitely have to happen in tandem. Like, we're definitely going to have to just all go out to dinner and all go out to the club or some shit, or whatever, a lounge, or all hang out at my Airbnb, or whatever the case may be, or have a cabin trip or some shit, because I know that I spread myself really thin when it came to these individual hangouts. And I really am proud of myself for prioritizing and trying to just create space. Like, for instance, if I had one hangout on a Saturday, then I try to make my next hangout be like on a Wednesday or a Thursday, just so I can have time to refuel and pause. But yeah, it definitely has been an adjustment. But with all that being said, I'm really grateful because, like I said, all of my interactions have been very positive and very fulfilling. Trying to figure out how to be there for my friends while they grieve Atlanta me is very interesting, because there are some who vocalize it but tell me not to worry about it, and then there are some who don't, but they show it in their actions. Like, they may stay around a little later or whatever the case may be. And I love it. Like, I'm grateful for that. Sometimes it just seems like my friends don't want to say goodbye. And I don't mind it, because I know that it's not a goodbye. But I too am just as sentimental, so I don't usually like to end the night. But once it's ended, I just think about moving forward. Like, okay, when is this person going to visit me, et cetera, et cetera. So I also do try to keep in mind that I'm moving out of the country, so it's a little bit easier for me to kind of move on and like move forward, if that makes sense, and have that mindset of, oh, like, they'll come to visit me when they have like a lot of real people problems happening here, or in wherever they are in their space. So I think that is also a little bit of a melancholy feeling that can be added. Like, I'm so happy that Atiya is moving forward and moving on with her life, but it just is kind of like a reality check. Like, okay, so what am I going to do with my life? Not to say that these people are not progressive, because they wouldn't be in my life if they weren't progressive. And this is the first time that I feel like I've had like a really cohesive group of progressive friends. It's just about them having faith in themselves. And I hope that all of my talks and all of my hangouts left my friends feeling that way, because that's literally the only missing link. It's just having utter faith in themselves and in their futures. So yeah, I hope that my move can give them some light, but I do just want to acknowledge like the slight grief that I think that some people may be feeling and may not even be able to acknowledge right now, and that's okay. But I just wanted to be like cognizant of it and understanding of it, because I also have tried so hard not to talk shit about America, but just know, like, once I'm out of America, I'm talking mad shit. Like, no, because what the fuck? Like, I'm comparing everything, literally. Like, in America, we have fucking $7 avocados. In Mexico, they'd be like 17 cents. Like, I'm just saying, like, little things like that. I need y'all to know. I'm not gonna bullshit you on it, because I need you to know that there's a whole new world out there, and America ain't it. And people are always like, oh, why are you moving? Why are you moving? Have you, like, I'm really trying to actively figure out, do y'all have to watch the news, because you send me all the negative Mexico news articles. So are you just avoiding the ones that talk about America? We literally have, you know, the movie The Lorax, and they're like, oh, when I swim in this lake, I'm green. It's the song in Sneedville, the air is not so clean. That song, right? Okay, so there's this part where he's like, I just went for a swim and now I'm green. There's literally radioactive spills happening. I want to say they said like 7 or 8 now. One was in Philly the other day, or Pennsylvania. A couple were in Ohio. But they're literally like, oh yeah, don't drink the water, etc., etc. And y'all's main complaint in Mexico is, you know the number one complaint, and then the second one is the water. So what you mean, oh, the water in Mexico? The water in America. At least our shit ain't radioactive in Mexico. Like, we got a little pesticide or a little parasite here or there. But yeah, like, that's some shit. So anyways, the selective outrage is crazy to me. And people don't see it because they're here in America. So I have people who have literally sent me negative shit and I'll ignore it. And then they'll hit me up on another platform. Like, hey, I just wanted to check in to see if you're good. Like, yeah, I'm good. I just ignored your negative shit. I'm good and otherwise, though. But I just literally am not going to participate in the propaganda fear factor of it all. So that's definitely been annoying. And I know I mentioned that in every episode because it's annoying every week.
Last but not least, for my update and for my Mexico rant, tell me why. Tell me why the fuck everybody is moving to Mexico now. No, because when I move out of Mexico, I'm not telling you bitches. I'm literally not telling you. Matter of fact, let me start lying now. I'm moving to motherfucking, let me think of a place where I would never move. I'm moving to Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan is my next destination. So, yeah. So, you might not even want to move to Mexico. Just skip it and go to Saskatchewan. Because everybody, yeah, like, what the fuck? Now, granted, some people I do fuck with and am excited about their move, right? And some people I know are never going to leave the U.S. and are just talking shit. So I let them live in their fantasy. But there are some people I would just prefer that they stayed in America, and it's just giving, you only want to be there because we're there. So yeah, definitely not telling y'all my moves anymore, because I really be making sugar look so fucking sweet, or whatever the saying is. So yeah, that's definitely been very interesting though. People are like, yeah, I think I'm gonna move, and I'm like, oh, okay. Out of all the millions of places in the world, you want to pick the place that I'm escaping to, but it's fine. It's fucking fine. I just have to express that because it's very funny to me. Now it's time for our next segment. Look at me in my segments and keeping up. Okay. The next segment is called Pussy Flexing. Things I did to flex my pussy power. All right. So remember I told y'all that I had, I think the name was Lumerance. And I mentioned the Sober Butterfly podcast. Again, please tap in, y'all. That is like one of my faves. But Lumerance is something where you could basically become obsessive with somebody. And I learned about that from the Sober Butterfly podcast. And I told y'all I was going to shoot my shot to the person that worked in the place that I frequented, right? So we had a major turn of events, and I'm here to share them with you. So first things first, I had created 4 packages, right? And it was just little minor gifts from my self-care company that I wanted to give out as a thank you for them and all their work, because what they do is not easy. And for them being my crush and then his coworkers. So I did kind of like a world tour and gave out these gifts. But then when I went to go give him his gift, he wasn't at work. Rewind. Tell me why the week before I gave out the gift, I want to say that I frequented this place like 3 or 4 times that week. Like, it was crazy. But every time I was there, he was never there. So one time I had walked into the place, and then there was a woman there, one of his coworkers. And while I was talking to her, having the same conversation that I usually have with him about the weather and how much I miss the sun, blah, blah, blah. I really said the same shit I'm on repeat. Because I don't do good with small talk. Like, I do it, but I don't do well with it. Like, I mean, I don't want to have the silence, so I'll say, oh my God. I hope I can, oh my God. Okay, trying to stay on topic, but let's talk about something else in a second. I'm going to write it in my notes so I don't forget. But I'm in this place talking about how much I miss his son to his female coworker. And then tell me why I hear, hey, behind my back, right? So I turn around and it's him in regular clothes. He wasn't in his work outfit. So I was like, oh, shit. Okay, he had like a little merce. You know, the little like Louis Vuitton merces or whatever. Like I said, I'm not into designer brands. I think they're a little bit corny. But yeah, like I guess it's a status symbol for a guy. So I'm like, okay, cool. He got money, I guess. He used money correctly. But he got it regardless. And I'm like, oh, how did he recognize me from the back? Like, granted, I am a tall girl with like locks and a bun, like red locks. But still, I'm like, how did he recognize me from the back to greet me so damn hard? Because it was like a, hey! Anyways, as we were both leaving, because he like went to the back to get something, as we were both leaving, I was like, okay, bye, lovely, like have a good one. And then, I don't even know what he said, but it sounded like he was on the phone with a girl, right? And I'm making that up. Like he literally just said something while he was on the phone, but I didn't hear exactly what it was. But the tone was giving it was a girl on the phone. So I had to stop to get something. And then as I'm walking back out to my car, I see him walking out to his car, but he's parked. I want to say, if it's not the car right next to me, then it's the car next to the car next to me. Like literally so fucking kismet. So in my mind, I'm like, yo, should I run up and like ask him for his number now? But I'm like, no, but you're going to look crazy. So after talking to my mom about it, she was like, well, why don't you, because the goal was to ask him for his phone number. So I really wanted to flex my pussy power. She's like, well, why don't you do Instagram, since that's like a little less scary. Best advice that, I mean, besides every time I leave the house and she asks me if I have a sweater and I say no and I don't get one, and that's some really good advice of hers, like to tell me to get a sweater and I don't listen to it. This was the best advice and I'm happy I listened to it. Does anybody else's mom do that? Like, they'll suggest certain things and then they're really helpful in your life, but you say no, and then you'll be out in the moment like, fuck, I should have done what she told me to do because I definitely regret, like, I'm mad cold now, or whatever the case may be. Like, might not be about a sweater, but it could be about something else. Anyway, so I didn't shoot my shot when he was out by the car. So I literally went to this place as soon as they opened and was like, he better be there. Like, really. I get inside and this is the next day. Like, this is another day now because I had attempted like 2 more times to give him the gift and he wasn't there. Okay. So I get inside, the place that I frequent is closed. So I go outside and something's like, just sit here. I had a dance class that morning, so I'm like, okay, I cannot sit here for forever. But something is to like sit here and recoup because he has to open the place at some point, I'm pretty sure. And then I started thinking, what if he doesn't work here anymore? Because that could make sense why his female coworker was there and why I saw him in his plain clothes. Like, it's a lot. And at one point I'm like, did he see me that other day and came inside, which is why he knew that was me from behind, because he saw me walking in and then he got out of his car because he was parked so close to me to see me in this place and say hi, like to make an entrance so I could see him in his outfit. Was that what he was doing? You know, like I was going through it. All right, so fast forward, I told you it's a couple of days later, back to this original day where I'm really going to shoot my shot, but the place is closed. I'm sitting out in my car. Why am I texting my mom and I literally hear him walking up to my car? Like, I actively hear his voice. I'm like, what the fuck? He came from the place I just came from, but the place was closed. So he literally was parked in the car next to me again, y'all, again. So I'm literally making voice notes to my mom, and I'm going to input the voice notes now.
I wouldn't have spent the whole morning fucking nervous had I, excuse me, known it was gonna be closed. Mommy, he's walking past my car. He literally parked right next to me. He's literally getting in his car right now. He's on the phone. Mommy, I don't know what to do. So shut, but he's on the phone, so I can't even get out and say something. No, he's on the phone. Oh my god, my heart is pounding. Why the fuck would we park right next to each other? What if he saw me fucking park and get out and walk back? I wonder if he can hear me whispering.
Go get him. Now's your opportunity.
I'm trying to make myself invisible right now.
The universe set this up for you.
Okay, I'm getting up. He's on the phone.
Well, as soon as he gets off the phone, if he doesn't get out the car, I'm gonna follow his ass.
Okay, I did it. Oh god. You know, after all that, I realized I don't even like men. I realized I don't like men. Oh my god, this is crazy. After all that hype, I'm like, I don't really think I like men. But anyways, I was like, I promise I'm not stalking you. And then he was like, no, what's up? And I was like, I wanted to give this to you because I'm moving out of the country in a week and a half. And he was like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. He was like, be safe. I was like, okay, thank you so much. I appreciate you. And then that was it. So yeah, I gave him the bag and went in my car. Wore my pants, I made my ass look fat, so that's great. But yeah, literally had the epiphany as we were speaking, like, wow, I don't like men. Okay. Got it. After all that, I only like them from afar. Because when I get close up, I'm like, So much for your inspiration, because I definitely would have, like, pussied out. No, I would have just waited for him to go inside. And then when he closed his door, I was like, oh, hell no, now I got to get the fuck out. So, yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate you. I really, really do. And what the fuck? What an adventure. My final adventure, I say my final adventure, but my final adventure in Atlanta, but that's not it. Definitely not the final adventure in Atlanta, I know. So anyways, yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate you. My heart can calm the fuck down now. God damn, wasn't that serious?
Wow, that's a great epiphany to make today. Good for you. And yeah, maybe that's why he was in your life, to finally show you this one last time that, yeah, men don't float your boat. So Kudos to you. Enjoy your class. Travel safely.
And thank you so much again for motivating me. Seriously, I was really gonna be a possible dick. I was gonna say pussy, but pussies are strong, so dicks are not, and they're not courageous. So yeah, I was gonna be a dick, but I'm really proud of myself for doing it. And then when I realized it's like not that big of a deal after I did it, so yeah, it's okay. This is just teaching me to be really courageous and spontaneous because I have nothing to lose. So thank you so much, beautiful. What a way to start my day, with a great adrenaline rush, and then the epiphany after that. So I get out my car per my mom's suggestion. Once again, I'm so happy I listened to her. And I have the gift in my hand, but he was on the phone, right? So he had just closed his car door. And I'm like, oh my, and I think I might even say that in the voice notes, but I'm like, oh my God, like what the fuck he did? I'm gonna like really have regrets if I don't shoot my shot now. So I get out my car, it's raining, and I literally just stand outside his door like a sim. I'm literally standing outside his door like a sim, and he has a hard time like opening his car door. I don't know. I guess it was like he has a jam in his car door, and so I think I like low key judged him a little bit for that. Like I don't know. I be needing like guys to be as smooth as possible, and it's not fair. It's not fair to men because my sexuality and what I'm attracted to, when AKA women, doesn't allow me to give much grace to men and much leeway when it comes to like them fucking up, them making mistakes, because they just have to be perfect for me to like them, and that's so fucked up, and I'm working through it, so don't fucking judge me. But that's my truth right now. So he opens the car door, he looks like a little bit shocked, and I'm like, hey, I promise I'm not stalking you. I just wanted to give you this gift. I'm moving out of the country in a week and a half, and so yeah. And in my mind initially, like I was going to be asked out on a date, and like he was going to do the most and be like, yo, before you go, you know. The letter that I wrote to him, I'll read it. Hold on. All right, so the letter reads, Dear beautiful soul, please enjoy this beard growth oil from my self-care company as a token of my appreciation for being one of the kindest people I've ever interacted with. Even my mom has come by your place, aka the place where he works, and came home complimenting how refreshing your energy is. My first few years of blah, 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 this indicates where he works, but I'm so grateful for the wonderful and positive experiences with you. By the time you read this, I may have mentioned this already, but I'll be moving to Mexico in a week and a half and would love to keep in touch. My Instagram is @iloveatiya, but if you can send a DM, that'd be amazing, as my notifications are a little drowned. And y'all, were they drowned? I literally got 3,000 followers over this week alone, but it says, if by chance you don't have an Instagram or whatever the case may be, I just want to thank you for all that you do and for being you. I wish you a lifetime of abundance and all good things. Peace and love. I said, P.S. I couldn't remember if you had a beard or not, but this oil can also be used for your eyebrows and hair. Fun fact, it can also be used for your eyebrows and hair if you're interested in my beard oil. But anyways, that's the note. I'm very proud of myself. I didn't feel like I went that in, because if I would have read y'all what I wrote to my original crush, y'all would have been like, bitch, really, no wonder he fucking lied and said he had a girlfriend. I don't think he lied. I think he really has a girlfriend. But where's she at? You still have not posted her. And y'all know that's a pet peeve of mine. But I conclude this story of me shooting my shot to say, y'all, as soon as he opened the car door, I literally had the thought, wow, I'm so gay. Like, I'm so gay. Because when I look at men in the light, when I get a little bit too close to men, when I really examine men, he's a really good-looking guy, right? He's a great-looking guy. But I am just gay. I just don't like men unless they look like women. And then if they have more feminine-looking features, then absolutely I'm here for it, which is why I love bisexual men. Not all bisexual men look feminine, don't get me wrong, but I love the more feminine looking, the bisexual men who are more tapped into their femininity. It's not about the looks per se, but it's literally about what the energy that they give. And I think maybe it's just because like I had heard a little bit of his conversation, and like I really don't know, y'all. It just didn't hit. So like all that anticipation for like months and months of me building up, like writing this letter, giving him the gift, like all of that was just crumbled in a moment of me actually like talking to him face to face. But after I gave him the gift, he was like, oh wow, okay, thanks so much, be safe. And I think that probably was also another ick for me. It was just like, that's all you have to say. Like you don't even want to ask me like where I'm going or whatever. Like I don't know. It just gave like he was on the phone, or like, I mean obviously he was, but just didn't want to do the most. I don't know. And then like I never got a DM from him, which it worked out because I realized I was gay. So it all went very divinely, but it was just a very big epiphany for me. Like, wow, this is the guy that I thought that like I was utterly attracted to. Like when I walked into this place, I was like, wow, this is my soulmate, as I always do. And so that's what I'm thinking. Like the more obsessive I am, the more I just want to reevaluate my relationship with men.
Because having a crush is cool, but like the obsession that I put behind it, it just takes a lot of energy, and it's such a crash when it's done. It's just like such like a zoop, like you know when you turn off an old TV and it has that line in the middle of the screen, like but the screen compresses into the line. You know what I'm talking about? Like you ever watch Scary Movie? I think it happened in Scary Movie. But when you just watch TV and then like both the top and the bottom of the screen will come together. Please tell me you know what I'm talking. Please, somebody confirm you know what I'm talking about before I feel crazy. But I am proud of myself because I did have a crush on a woman that I don't even want to say the location of where she's at because then this will make it extra sus. But I had a crush on a woman at a place where I also frequented, and I complimented her the other day, and I told her I loved her hair. And I need y'all to understand what I did. Okay, so I was leaving the place where I was in, and I had seen her there, right? So I went to the bathroom because I felt like I was going to be able to bump into her timing wise if I was coming out the bathroom and she was like coming out of where she was coming out of. But I didn't end up going into the bathroom because I realized I was really fucking doing the most. So she went into this other place. And so I went into the other place and just complimented her because I'm like, girl, just do it. Like I've been wanting to compliment her for so long. So I complimented her, and then she just started pouring these compliments back into me. And I just felt like, wow, I'm obviously in love. So I really would like to work on just my obsessive qualities in general but I mean, she's just like a really beautiful energy. So it makes sense as to why I had such a crush. But trying to figure out what is the difference between a crush and obsession. Because I'm not trying to give Joe from you. And I feel like the whole me trying to stage, like, oh, we're going to walk out at the same time. Like, it's giving very much Joe. I wonder if he's a virgin because he's a Virgo. I wonder if he's a Virgo because Joe is very much like calculated in the way of he's just like, it's always trying to plan some shit out. Like, be organic, my guy. So, yeah. Definitely proud of myself for flexing my pussy power to another person with a pussy. That was very, very fun and very vivid in my head. But yeah, shooting my shot to the guy. Happy I did it, proud of myself. But that was really my pussy flexing. And then I have another story about where I tried to flex my pussy power, but I can't remember if I've told it already. But I have like an update about it. So there's this guy that I had a really big crush on in Queens back in the day. And we had met because I think that he was the son or the nephew or grandson of the owner of this health food store, right? So I had the biggest. First of all, I felt like, oh my God, he works in a health food store. Like, so I went there with my mom one time. I did not mean to moan just now, but I went with my mom one time, and I remember just walking past him and seeing him. I think it was like a apron on or some shit. I don't even know what they wore there. But yeah, he was working there, and I can't even remember if we interacted, but I just remember he was like so fine. Like if I had to like create a dream guy at the time, it would have been him. So I didn't shoot my shot or anything, but my friend and I had agreed to take a walk there. But when I just Google Maps it said that it's a 44-minute walk, 2.2 fucking miles. What was I thinking? On top of that, it was 90 degrees in Queens, like 90 degrees, right? So my friend at the time was a trooper. We did this walk. I think I went and gave him my phone number on a piece of paper, if I'm not mistaken. I was so fucking nervous. But I shot my shot, and I think he texted me shortly after that. And the only reason why it went wrong was because he was a Sagittarius. That really, to me, is really the problem. Because I'm trying to think of what else. Oh, he just always wanted to be on the phone, and I hate phone calls. But I did it, and it was something else. That like whatever we had, like I don't even know, we didn't have a falling out, but it was just something just off about the whole situation. So fast forward years later, I had ended up finding him on Facebook, and we added each other. And then I think he was really close with this girl that I knew of, but I didn't feel like they were just like, he claimed that they were just brother and sister or whatever, but I didn't feel like they were just brother and sister. I felt like they had probably fucked around. I don't know. And back in the day, I didn't fuck with that. Now I just want honesty. Like, I don't think, and I feel like guys are not capable of that, but that's another story. So I think that either I DM'd him or he DM'd me. This is right after I had moved into my new apartment, my last apartment that I lived in on my own. And somehow the conversation led to us talking about FaceTiming. I remember that he was in Korea at the time, and I thought that was so amazing. And I literally was like changing my phone to like know the time difference between Korea. And like that was another thing. Like our time was just off. So when he would be up and it would be daytime, it would be like fucking 3:00 in the morning in America. But the combos were so smooth. I wonder if I still have them on my phone. All right, I just looked and definitely don't have the messages still. But I guess I had DM'd him. Okay, this was November 2020. And I was like, I put his name, and then he was like, sweetheart, stranger, this can't be you. And then I was like, it is. I didn't think you'd remember me. And then he was like, I'd be crazy if I didn't. Text me. And then he sent me his number. Okay. Oh, God, I was in love with that man. He was the bare minimum for me. But He was like, yeah, let's FaceTime. So we FaceTime, but why the fuck? Why, after years and years of not seeing him, would I go on FaceTime with a do-rag and no makeup? Now, the no makeup part is totally okay. I am a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful being. My skin looked fabulous. I was glowing. But the do-rag, bitch, we are trying to make impressions out here. We're trying to set standards. So ended up FaceTiming for a long time. And then I remember I told him that I had smoked. And I feel like that might have turned him off a little bit because things just got a little bit weird after that. And then he had claimed he ordered food in that. And he kept being on his phone, like texting somebody. He claimed that he had ordered food. But then, like, when the food came, he was like, yeah, okay, I gotta go. That nigga did not order no food. That nigga had a whole girl come over the house. I'm pretty sure. Like, come on now. Because you could have answered the door and fucking ate with me on the FaceTime call if it was that serious. But, I mean, at the same time, I can't lie. I be getting off FaceTime to eat. Like, I really do. So, I can't be like that. It's just me being selfish. But, yeah, that was the end of us. And I shared that story to share, one, I had this thing with limerence, like, throughout my life. So, that's been said. I mean, when I first met him, I want to say I was 16, 17. I hadn't even done prom yet. So, yeah, definitely was, right? Wait, did I do prom yet? When was I in that acting program? Goddamn. I lived a long life for a 28-year-old, seriously. But anyways, yeah, I walked apparently 44 minutes to go give this dude my number and then FaceTimed him years later, like fucking 10 years later, and had a do-rag on and messed everything up. But at the same time, I was like, if you're shook by me smoking and wearing a do-rag, then that's on you. Like, if you're just gonna ghost me, then that's fucked up and that's some Sagittarius shit to do. So, yeah, I'm done. I still have him on Facebook, though. He's still just as fine. But I have to have faith that I will meet better people. Like, because the way that my relationships have been going here, I've just been getting the ick for all people to the point where I thought I was asexual. So, yep, just trying to figure my shit out. So in honor of figuring my shit out, let's do my next segment, which is Atiya's arousing activities. I just came up with that a little bit because originally it was just Atiya's activities, but then when Atiya's experiences sounded so fucking boring, I decided to add the word arousing. So what y'all think? Come on, we gotta test these out because I need to come up with catchy names for my shits, for my segments. So Atiya's arousing activities. Let's make soulmates. Let's manifest soulmates, bitches. All right, so first things first, I ask that you head to my Pinterest, Iloveatiya, all right? And then if you go to my saved boards, you'll see the soulmate manifestation board. All right, so we'll press that. And then there are two there. So I'm gonna read these off, and then for the next episode, I want us to both come back with our answers. All right. So I will write out my prompt, like I'll write out my answers and I'll read them on the next episode. I just said that, so I don't know why I said that twice. Okay, so the first one is the one with the pink background, and it's manifesting your soulmate with journal prompts, and then they also have examples, right? So it says, how does your soulmate make you feel? Confident, beautiful, loved. Those are like some options, but you can do whatever. Again, if you want to physically see this, then head to my Pinterest. I'll put a link to this specific board or to my Pinterest profile in general so y'all can follow me on my description as well. All right, what do you guys do together? Cook, read, talk about life. How do you spend a Saturday afternoon together? Relaxing at the beach. They only gave one example for that. Okay. How do they behave when you're feeling down? You're going to see a typo. It's like when you're feeling down. Affirm my feelings, loving. What do you both value in life? Honesty, spirituality, loyalty. What common goals do you both have? Value each other, have a family. What does your love life look like? Laughing a lot, cooking together. What does your love life feel like? Safe, inspiring, trusting. What are some qualities your soulmate has? Funny, caring, patient. And how do you communicate with each other? By the way, I don't think that you need... Oh, by the way, the options are softly, calm, with meaning, we listen. I don't think that you need to have a Pinterest account to get this board. If you do, just like let me know on something. I don't know, DM me or some shit or email me. Also, if you're in a relationship already, then you can use this as a way to either write it from a place of you're not in a relationship so you can see if your partner matches with what you're looking for, or y'all can do this together and see what you're looking for in each other, what you desire from each other, and what already fulfills you from your partner more so, not like, oh, you don't do this, but more so just like, oh, wow, I've found my soulmate. Or maybe it will be eye-opening, like, I actually don't like this nigga that I'm in a relationship with. So yes, you can definitely play around with it, but this can be used for all people. All right, and this is the second journaling prompt. And it's a manifesting a soulmate. How does your soulmate make you feel? Wait, is this the same one? Oh my God. These are the same freaking questions with the same options. Okay, never mind, y'all. So I'm going to delete this from the board. No, I'll keep both of them up. don't do both of them. Whatever. My point is that I got 2 different ones, but they're the same on my Pinterest board. So yeah, go check that out on Pinterest. And I'm so excited to reconvene. Now it's time for Mummy's masturbation tip. I just made that up, y'all. No, it should have been Mommy's. Mommy, because I'm a mommy. Not a mommy. I'm a mommy. Mommy. I'm trying to make sure you can hear like the difference between like mommy and like mommy. But maybe it's just the inflection. But I'm about to be a mommy because I'm moving to Mexico. Y'all, I tried vibrating panties for the first time that I got from Shop Sador. It's called The Companion. So what had happened was I had posted on, by the way, this is my new segment, Mommy's Masturbation. But now I got to change it because I do not like the Mommy's Masturbation. I mean, now granted, my mom did teach me about masturbation. So it definitely could like be regarding my mom. But I meant like MAMI. All right, we get that. So this segment is all about my vibrating panties experience. Y'all, got them from Shop Sador. I posted on TikTok about vibrating panties and people kept commenting maybe a few months back like, oh, but you know, have you found some that are quiet? Because apparently people have had vibrating panties, but they've been so loud. So when they're out in public, people know that they have on whole vibrating panties. Now I told y'all that I am a voyeur and I love watching people. Is that a voyeur? Let me look up the definition of a voyeur real fast. Oh my God, why would I Google it? It said, hold on, let me just read it to you. It says, someone who obtains sexual gratification from observing unsuspected individuals who are partly undressed, naked, or engaged in sexual acts. Broadly, someone who habitually seeks sexual stimulation by visual means, a person who commits the crime of voyeurism. Voyeurism is a crime? What? The other part I didn't know was the whole like unsuspecting persons. Like I thought that people were fully willing to be watched when I watched like voyeur, like I thought it was like a POV kind of thing, like voyeur porn, but maybe I haven't messed up. I don't want people to be unsuspecting though. That seems like spying or like hidden cams and shit. I don't like that. But I like watching and hearing people fuck. So y'all know that. But I also found that I like doing shit outside, right? Like I had sex in the forest one time. That was pretty cool. I just didn't like who I had sex with, and that was my ex. And there were a lot of other factors that I do not feel proud of mentioning right now, so I won't. But just know that I liked having sex outside. And I think that like, oh, one time I masturbated in my car. That was amazing. I had like the best orgasm, but like and I don't know if it was just like the fact that I could possibly get caught. Like I had just moved into the house with my mom and I didn't feel comfortable masturbating in the house. So even though she's like, do you, boo? Just like put a sock on the door, let me know. And I'll like leave you alone. And I'm like, no, because I don't know that I'm diddling my skittle. But these vibrating panties sounded like something that I had never done before. And so I have the Companion, like I said, the Companion vibe from Shop Sador. And the thing about it is that one, it comes with a freaking watch. It literally comes with a watch. It looks like an Apple Watch, but not on the face, if that makes sense. I guess it just looks like a watch, but it's kind of like rounded square like an Apple Watch. But anyways, it's very good and discreet. And so that's what you can use to control the vibrator. I believe it has 4 intensities and then like 7 patterns, but I loved all of the patterns. And like I said, a lot of people in the comments on TikTok were complaining about their panty vibrators or vibrating panties, saying that they were too loud. But when I tell you that I did a YouTube review about it, you can literally go on my YouTube, iloveatiya, to see. But when I did a YouTube video review and turned on the vibrations, you literally could not hear the vibration on the video. It was crazy. I've tried to go into like really quiet spots like my closet and stuff like that to see how loud it is, but I can very much so vouch and say that it is very, very, very discreet. Another thing I love is that it fits like your vulva perfectly. So it hits all the spots. Like initially, like I had to go off camera to try it out. But when I tell y'all that I came back so giddy, like, no. The first setting alone was powerful as fuck. But, like, I thought it was going to be overwhelmingly powerful, and it genuinely wasn't. It actually was very, very, like, I don't want to use the word comforting because nobody really wants, like, a comforting. Well, yeah, I guess you kind of do want a comforting vibrator. Okay, so it was comforting, but, like, arousing, like, right off the bat. If you go on shopsador.com and look it up or click the link in my description, you'll see that like it literally was formulated to fit your crevices in your vulva. And then there's a magnet that goes underneath on your the bottom part of your panties. And that's what keeps it in place. So yeah, and that I did it even without pants. So I can only imagine what the fuck it feels like with the pants. Oh my God, I can't. But I can. Like, it was really orgasmic. And I didn't even try it with the watch. But yeah, 10 out of 10 recommend if you are looking to spice up your life, whether it just be your solo life or your relationship with your partner, definitely recommend the Companion. I got the pink one. And you can use the code iloveatiya to get 15% off. So that is definitely a 10 out of 10 recommendation, like I said, for spicing things up. And you can use it as a regular vibrator too. Like, you can literally just take it off your panties and just like
holding on your clit or on your vulva. But I loved the panty aspect because also it's hands-free. So that just adds some extra kind of, I don't know, it did something to my sacral chakra. So yes, if you are interested in trying some vibrating panties and needed a recommendation, I highly recommend the Companion. And you can check out the link in my description for that as well. If you are looking for some potent, and delicious herbs, edibles, plant medicine of all kinds, you can definitely check out Heaven High NYC. I got these gummies the other day. They're Hubbaloo gummies. Oh my motherfucking God. I always have to stop myself from eating the full edibles that they bake. But when I tell you that these gummies I used to just take half. And then I was like, fuck that. I can't just like taste wise. I need a whole one. Half made me feel amazing. So it wasn't even about the feeling for me, because the whole be making me feel like, oh my God, I'm like on cloud nine, like in a great way. But it's the taste for me. Like, y'all ever had gummies that were so good that you just want to pop them like they're like Mott's gummies or whatever, Welch's? I don't even know who's fucking making gummies, like non-THC gummies. But yeah, definitely highly recommend if you're looking for some THC of any sort in any kind of vape form or flower or whatever the case may be. Heaven High NYC is your place to be, and you can mention iloveatiya to get a special perk. And if you sign up on their website, they'll send their menu to you like literally right away. So definitely tap in. And now for this last segment, it is going to be iloveatiya's sensuals. Story time. It's not really that sensual because we're going to talk about men being predators. So, yeah, I got to come up with a better name for that too. But basically, it's going to be a story time at the end of my episode per usual. And this is a story about something that actually happened to me at the podcast conference that I went to. And it was just like a really icky moment. Or a couple of icky back-to-back moments. And I wanted to share them because there has been a lot coming up of men just saying these really predatory things in the media and being praised for it. And I'll get to that in a second. But yeah, I definitely wanted to talk about my experiences with men being predators. But I didn't want to do one whole episode about that because it's just too many. And it will literally be like a 3-hour long ass episode of me just going off. So I figured I would sprinkle it in here and there regarding my experiences with predatory men so we can figure out how the fuck to stop this shit, because it's literally an epidemic that nobody is talking about. And I'm talking about men of all races. So let's just keep that in mind. So that I don't re-trigger myself, I'm going to play you a recording of what I recorded right after the incident happened. And then we can talk about it and discuss it before we end the episode.
But things didn't go as planned, and that's all right. Because I'm a trooper, and I believe in universal timing. So I was recovering from that in the midst of being in a bar for this podcast conference. And I had a freaking blast. I told y'all, like, this night, like I said, was the night that I was on stage singing Copacabana, and it was great. Now, what wasn't great was the unconsensual touching that was happening that night. And I was debating if I wanted to even talk about it. You know what I'm saying? Why? That's a good question, Atiya. Why? But I then that next morning had breakfast and amongst other women heard other stories that were similar to mine. And I was like, why is this a commonality? Like, why are we all relating to this? Like, not, and I'm more so just sad that like this was all of our experiences, you know? So I remember this one guy was like sloshy drunk. A white guy had his hand on my hip, and I was singing a song, and so he tried to act like he was singing with me, and then I felt his hand getting lower, so I moved his hand back up. Now, what I really wanted to do was take his hand and fling it off and make it hit the table, but what I forgot, so we'll come back to that. I didn't do that, though. I just moved his hand up above where his hand was originally, but then it was on my skin, which I didn't like because I had on a crop top, and then he moved it back. And eventually I just felt like, this is just too sleazy. So I fucking just moved. But when I moved, he kind of slid his hand down my back and then down my backside, which was a fucking unconsensual touch. I think that due to things that I've been through in the past, my mind blanked. I think that I just wanted to get out of the situation. And I think that I didn't even want to call a thing. You know, I was like, I don't even want to acknowledge this, which is something that I'd like to dissect a little bit on here. there was another situation where this guy was like singing in my ear and my hair was like in my ear, right? So my friend originally was singing in my ear and that was great. Like I had made a joke and everything. I was like, oh my God, like I'm dropping my panties. Like, because that was cool. Like me and him had that rapport and he wasn't like breathing in my ear. Like he literally was like serenading me from afar. It was fine. Like it was a beautiful moment. But then this person took it upon themselves to then sing in my ear and my hair was like tickling my ear. And then this person was really close to my ear, this other person. So, and then like the moment was kind of done, like all my other friends were then talking to each other. So then it was just kind of like me and him and this was like too intimate. And then he had his hand on my back and then I was like kind of pulling away, but then he like pulled me in closer, like tighter. And it was just too much. Like I just did not like that moment at all. So that was aggravating. And then, yeah, to know that other people like had just experienced men being annoying that night was frustrating to me. And then wondering why in the year of 2023 do people still not understand the concept of consensual touching? Why? Like, do you understand how much that will put you apart? Like, do you mind if I, oh my God, you asking me that? Like, wow, you just set yourself apart from 200,000 fucking men who just touch me inappropriately. Like, to me, it's not hard. So that's what makes me go back to say, like, what is it about men to where like that's been my experience, you know? And I'm not gonna be like, oh man, whatever the fuck you want your narrative to be, but like the experience that I've had with men has been that, like the unconsensual lack of not even catching hints, like me, I don't know. And then there's fear, right? So there was a situation where I think I was maybe 18 years old and I went to the club with my best friend at the time and she had driven us. We get to the club, I think it was on Halloween. For some reason, we ended up in VIP and then we went down to like the main floor. And I remember there was this one guy and we were dancing and my friend was dancing with his friend. And then the next thing I know, he literally had my entire vulva in his hand. And I felt absolutely positively disgusted. So I removed his hand quickly and walked away. And then I was just like kind of in a corner, not even in a corner. Like I just moved a little bit away because I can't remember where my friend was at the time. This other guy was kind of like hovering and harassing us. But again, like I can't remember exactly what aggravation he was doing, but I remember he was doing something. And at one point, he grabbed me in a way that made my defense automatically go to like fucking some shit up. And my reaction was I just hit his arm, I think, or his hand to like get him away from me. But his other hand had a cup of alcohol in it. And so that alcohol fell on the ground. And then I remember he grabbed my wrist. And then my best friend was my fucking ride or die. So when I tell you she came out of nowhere like Kung Fu Panda, and then he grabbed onto both of our wrists. And then the rest of it is so fucking blurry. I remember at one point he just had her arms. And I remember screaming to somebody. I looked a man in the face and I was like, help, like go get security. Like please go, like hit somebody, like get security specifically. And he literally looked me in my face and shook his head no. And I was like, we're fucked. Like this Negro is crazy. This guy literally had his hands on my friend. So I did something to get his hands off of her. I did some type of karate shit that my uncle probably taught me because he used to teach me like how to get out of people's hand, like wrists or like how to get out of a wrist lock. He literally used to teach me this. So I did something. We ended up in the middle of the floor of like the dance floor at this point, and he's literally like about to. I think did he like she threw something at him and then she like jumped on him. I don't know. It was something just craziness happened. Her ancestral rage definitely like came out, and I just remember me still trying to like ask people for help. Nobody's helping. Still trying to defend ourselves against this man who's literally about to actively start hitting us. And then out of nowhere, security came and took all of us out. And my friend was going off so bad that they thought that we had initiated the fight. And I'm trying to explain to them like, no, we literally like we're just trying to defend ourselves from this guy who groped us, this other guy who just groped me. Like it's just a lot. And we ended up having to go back to the car and we got kicked out of the whole party. But that instance in itself was like, I think put a thing in my head like, oh, these niggas is crazy. So when I defend myself, like, what is the outcome going to be? And I think that that's where like my fight or flight kind of kicked in. Like there are still some instances where I'll have a flight and I'll like literally leave like immediately when something just doesn't, whatever the trigger is. But then there's like that fright. And I think that I always judged that fright, not thinking back to the trauma that fright stemmed from. And even the more I learned about sexual assault, the more I was like, wait a second, like I had been saying that I would just had those 2 sexual assaults in 2022, but like, what about this experience that I literally blocked out from my mind? Or like, what about this experience that is now coming back to me? And again, I talked about this in the last episode. It is crazy how your mind can really like just remove these experiences from your psyche for a while to protect you. I think that my celibacy also helped me see that as well. I remember I was talking to my friends the other day and they were like, you know, what's stopping you from having sex? Or like, how's your sex life been? And I'm like, sex life? Like, you know, I mean, I'm coming up on a year now. Yeah, I think like I just officially had like a year of celibacy. And even in the small experiences that I had where I called myself like trying to get intimate with somebody, like when I did the mutual masturbation, I still consider myself to be celibate after that because I make the rules up. But that wasn't a positive experience for me. And it taught me that like, that's the one I talked about in episode 1, but it taught me that, yeah, there are some more things that like I'd like to heal and some more things I'd like to learn about myself. And yeah, it was just a lot. So between that and then the other experience with the guy who was trying to get me drunk in his house and then was jerking off vigorously, like it was just a lot. So I feel like for the first half of my celibacy, I was kind of fighting it. And I was like, you know, actively looking for someone to change that. And even at one point, there was a guy that I was like really sexually attracted to. And I had like talked to him in person and got his Instagram and like things were going great. And then I asked him to get tested. And it's funny because he had DM'd me asking me for some advice. Some sexual advice. And I thought he was doing like all the guys do and like DM me for sexual advice because that's what they want from me. But no, and they don't get it. But no, like he literally wanted it for somebody else. And I didn't peep that until later on. So things didn't end up working out, but mostly because it just took him forever to get tested and I just gave up. But I say all that to say, once I stopped trying to meet somebody and I deleted Hinge for the 15,000th time, like I realized that I needed to create this relationship within myself, and that's what I was avoiding. So I feel like ever since I created this relationship with myself, the more I see myself, the more I'm like, I don't deserve this pussy. Like this some healed vulva. Like, come get this healed vulva juice. Not everybody is deserving of it. I don't know. So yeah, I feel like this pause has definitely helped me be able to just regain my strength. I think that watching The Woman King was definitely very helpful when it comes to just trying to feel strong. For a very long time, I hated men. And I feel like I'm really actively trying to work through that and just replace the hate with compassion and understanding. I've been trying to ask more questions. And I know I still have this guard up sometimes, like, oh, these niggas be lying. But, you know, I really do try to give amnesty and just listen to what the perspective of a man is from where they're at that time, if that makes sense. So I'm trying, y'all, to heal. But my question is, like, psychologically, what is it that makes a man believe that no doesn't matter, or that a woman doesn't know, or that he can convince her? What is that gene? What is that nature in a man that's like, in those kind of men, in those predatory men? Like, what is that? I am very excited to launch this consent class where I just teach the art of consent. And I think I've mentioned this before. Like, in New York City, sex education is not required in schools. HIV and AIDS prevention, or HIV and AIDS education is, which I think is beautiful. But it's just so hard to talk about that when sex ed isn't in the curriculum as well. And then consent talks are not mandatory either. So it's like what they really want is for abstinence to be pushed and to not talk about the things that really need to be talked about, you know? And that's frustrating because then it seems like we're not nipping it in the bud. Like, we're not calling a thing and being able to inform. I mean, I'm talking about stuff even when it comes down to anatomy. Like, why are we still calling vulvas vaginas? Why am I just now learning this? Like, this is new information to a lot of us. And I can't even remember where I just learned this information from. It might have been, I don't even know. I don't even want to lie. But like, this was crazy to me that I was really misnaming my genitalia for so long. Like, so yeah, I guess, I don't know. All I know is that I'm finna take self-defense classes and just take my sensual dance classes, which are really helping me just feel stronger within, and keep going to the gym and keep talking to the warrior within me. Like, I don't want to feel like I always have to be on guard, but I do just want to feel safe within my body and know that my words are enough. I think that I used to care about what people thought about me, and I used to think that, oh, if I say no in this way, they're going to think I'm a bitch, or if I say no in this way, they're going to think that I'm mean. All right, well, you're going to have to think that now, because I literally don't give a fuck. Like, that's just how I'm going to have to be, you know? And I'm not, I don't want to say I'm excited about it, but I'm proud of myself for getting to this part of the journey. So yeah, that's that when it comes to motherfucking consent and men and my growing and healing in that department.
All right, so now that you have heard that clip from an old episode that I never published, I want to talk about this and really try to figure out, like, how do we, I don't even know. I was going to try to list other things of how do we. I don't know how to stop somebody from being a predator. And I don't know how to stop having interactions with men who are predatory. And I don't want to create a narrative in my head that all men are predators. But you know what's so crazy? When I look at nature, and that's usually how I confirm, like, what's supposed to be and what's not supposed to be. When I look at nature and they try to act like humans are such fucking sentient beings who feel so much, but we act so freaking callous. A lot of things that happen in nature are pretty savage, right? And a lot of the men in nature are very, very predatory. The way that they court the women, the way that they, like, the way that, is it ducks? Yo, there's one animal that, like, the man bites the girl's head down on the floor and basically, like, assaults her. It does not look fun or nice or consensual by the female duck's behalf. But my point is that I try so hard to wonder, like, I reflect on if men are just naturally predatory. And it's so hard for me to think like that because I have guy cousins. I have guy uncles, obviously. I have, like, people that I consider to be brothers. You know what I'm saying? But what's crazy, yo, I remember one time somebody who I considered to, I won't even say the exact family member that this is because it will give them away, but just know that he ain't shit. I was on the phone with him one time, and then his wife had come on the phone, and we were talking, and they were newlyweds, and then literally as soon as his wife gets off the phone, he's like, yeah, so can you hook me up with some of your friends in Atlanta? And my thing about that is, one, if you're supposed to be someone that I quote unquote look up to or whatever, supposed to have my back and protect me, what type of example are you setting? Like, why can men never see when you ain't shit in front of your I'm just going to throw a whole bunch of stuff out there. In front of your little sister, in front of your little cousin, in front of your niece, in front of your fucking granddaughter, whatever. If you ain't shit in front of them, that is setting something in our minds to say, like, if he ain't shit to his girl and we're related, like, but you treat me so differently as a family member, why can't you treat all women in your life with respect? Why is it the women that you stick your penis in are the one that you don't have respect for? Does that make sense? Like, do you get what I'm saying? It's very hard. It's like men compartmentalize so hard with the bad shit that they do versus having healthy relationships with female family members. So, for instance, a guy that I know can treat me so well as a family member, but then I'll listen to the stories that he says about his wife and the things that both me and his wife are going through, but he's so critical of his wife and so empathetic towards me. What is that? You know what I'm saying? And another weird part about the guys in my family is that they tell me the fucked up stuff they do. They'll be like, yeah, because I told her this, that, and the third, talking about their significant other. And I'm like, yo, you never think, like, oh, if a guy ever said this to a Tia, how would she feel? Because that's the same way that you are making your significant other feel by saying this fucked up thing. So yeah, it's definitely interesting to watch the compartmentalization of it all. And again, why is there a lack of respect when it comes to how men treat women that they are being sexual with or just, yeah, being romantic with? And I've also had guys in my family tell me about how ain't shit these guys are and to watch out. But those be the same people that are out there doing people dirty. So it's like, you want me to watch out for you. I literally just watched a video about this. A girl was saying, oh God, I wish I could quote it exactly verbatim. But she basically was saying that, you know, these guys are always trying to give you warnings about predatory men the whole time. They're the predators. They set the blueprint, like the blueprint. Like, this is why you know. So it's discouraging seeing men who I trust not treat I don't trust anybody actually. So it's just discouraging seeing men that I know
treating others, or even women that I know befriending men who are bad to other people. Like, I had to realize that even after my sexual assault, the second person that sexually assaulted me in 2022 was someone that I had literally actively witnessed them deteriorate somebody in front of my face, but yet I remained cool with that person. And I'd like to have the mindset of, just, if I see a guy in my life disrespecting a woman, I'm going to call it out. And if there's no change, and if he doesn't even recognize it as being disrespectful, I don't want to be in your life, because one, you're treating other women like shit, and two, what's to say you're not going to treat me like shit eventually? Even reflecting in my life, I've seen a lot of men use friendship and see my yearning for friendship as an in to get to me. And I've noticed that I've had all these close guy friends and all these best friends, and it's like, yeah, but are they really? Like, what is it? What is that title for? Why do I crave that title so badly? I'm talking my entire life, like from the fourth grade, even from kindergarten. I had friends that I considered to be like best guy friends. Then I go and talk to the guy as we grow up, and he's like, "Oh yeah, you used to be my first girlfriend." My first girlfriend, that literally happened to me one time. Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! I just thought of a story time that I want to share with y'all, but it's not going to fit in this episode, so I'll put it in another episode. But yes, I'm going on a little bit of a tangent. So I say all that to say that I'm just a little bit discouraged, a lot of bit discouraged by men. And I was in a very deep place of hatred for men, and I feel like I'm trying to rise above it, but the actions of them and their patriarchal mindset and just who they are, there's just certain things that are ingrained in them that I just don't know if I'll ever be able to love. And that is just true. But it's so interesting because I feel like I say that I love my dad unconditionally, and he has those some man things with some like man qualities that no man can really escape. So I say that I don't think that I'll be able to love these things about a man, but I do love these things about the men in my family. I love them in spite of those things, if that makes sense, because they can't help it. And if I could think about other men not being able to help those man qualities about them, maybe it will help me have some compassion. But then, like, maybe it's not meant for me to have compassion for men. But then I see little boys, and I'm like, oh my god, like, no, there's hope for you. And then it gives me hope for older guys. And then I might meet one guy that seems like an upstanding citizen. I might not be romantically attracted to him because I like women, but it's just they give me hope. So I don't know. I don't know. I also feel like society sets men up for failure when it comes to relationships. I also have this conspiracy theory that men knew that women were so independent that they really gaslit, like worldwide, gaslit us to believe that we need them and we need to be in relationships with them and things like that. Because when you look at things from back in the day, women were independent as fuck. We were rulers, we were queens. Watch The Woman King. Watch fucking anything about Cleopatra and Egyptian goddesses and queens. Even in The Woman King, she really had to fight to like not be one of his wives. And if you haven't seen The Woman King yet, shame on you. If you are a black person and you have not seen The Woman King yet, get your shit together. You do not want to feel empowered, do you? Do you not want empowerment in your life? Because she definitely, that movie as a whole, especially after experiencing sexual assault or after being sexually assaulted, I will definitely say that it definitely made me feel like I found some of my power again, and watching someone survive some of the things that I felt like I had survived in a way. So definitely tap in if you have not. Like, really, I'm being that ass. Like, you need to get your shit together. Everybody needs to watch The Woman King. As a woman, it's just very empowering. And I'm just going to focus on empowerment, empowering myself so that I can feel empowered enough to speak to men about empowerment, because we all just need to feel self-love. And I think that, I'm not saying that can curb the predatory thing, which is why I'm trying to figure out if it's in their nature or not. But I do think that the more that I could just talk about self-love, the people who are supposed to get it will get it. The people who aren't supposed to get it won't. But I just needed to express the patterns of predatoriness that I saw, predatorization. I don't know, but I'm excited to move out of the country and see what non-American men are like. There are predators everywhere around the globe. That's what I'm saying. Like, I think that if it's a nature thing, it just doesn't matter where I go. Men are just going to be predators. But I'm excited to see just how different it is dating and experiencing men outside of the country and seeing just what this is about. Because right now I feel like I really have more of like a gaze on American men and what they're going through. And so it'll be interesting to see what foreign men are going through as well. To conclude this episode, I would like us to write down 6 prompts. You're probably like, damn, but you always want us to write. But seriously, 3 of them are going to be things we love about ourselves, and 3 of them are going to be things that we love about another gender. It could be any gender other than the one that you identify with. I recommend that it's the one that you feel like you need the most healing in or with. So I'll give you some time.
This is your time to write it out. If you're driving, think about it, then write it down. Or when you get home. All right, that's it. I love y'all so much. Oh, one more thing. A lot of people have continuously asked me about where I get my fabulous handmade jewelry from. And I get my jewelry from imanijewelry.com. And if you use the code iloveatiya, you can get 10% off. But Imani Jewelry is a women-owned company owned and operated by one amazing woman. She hand makes every single piece of jewelry that you see. She puts her whole heart into it and has some amazing jewelry that goes from the lower end of the price spectrum to the higher end of the price spectrum. So there's something for everyone. She has lock charms, which I absolutely love. I need to put in my faux locks immediately. Necklaces, bracelets, anklets, chokers. I know that's a necklace. She has all-in-ones, which are like necklaces, anklets, bracelets, and chokers and headpieces all in one, literally in the name. Earrings. I don't know if I mentioned that. She has bracelet cuffs and just bangles, everything, like I said, that you desire. She has on her site. She has care tips on how to take care of your jewelry and all that good stuff. So be sure to tap into imanijewelry.com if you love yourself. And I need you to give yourself a hug for me. Are you giving yourself a hug? Okay, I'm not. So I'm giving myself a hug right now. Okay. And I want you to be kind to yourself and to be kind to animals. I'm so excited for the next episode. I was super excited for this one too. I just wanted to really catch y'all up because I feel like I had so much happen within these last 2 weeks. But the next time that we talk, I will officially be in Mexico. So yeah. Wait, what? I was trying to go, but my mouth was so dry. I was like, I love y'all so much. Thank you for listening. And if you have any solutions on any of the shit that I talked about, i.e. my sexuality and how to figure out how men cannot be predatory, please feel free to hit me up in my comments on Instagram, on TikTok, and let's run it up. Also, let me know what you want me to talk about. I feel like we should do informational sessions on here, but I want to know what y'all want to know. So you can send an email to iloveatiyaexperience@gmail.com and let me know what questions you have. I feel like people have questions that they want to ask, and I put a halt on answering advice because giving advice because I was so overwhelmed. So send a message to iloveatiyaexperience@gmail.com, and I'm going to start reading your questions. I already have one in my inbox that has been there since the first episode, and I feel so freaking bad. Like, I don't even know what the fuck to do. But I hope that person is still tuning in because I'm finally going to answer your question in the next episode. I promise. I say that in every episode, but I'm going to put it in my notes so I make sure I do that. I love y'all. Kisses. Besos. Mwah.